If you are thinking of the rainbow, you have a number of the colors in of the rainbow, seven of the colors in of the rainbow. But as you expand into the next of the dimensions of reality, the next timelines, you will be seeing more of the colors. And then you will be seeing more of the colors, and then the colors will all be shifting and of the changing. So it's not as if the rainbow will not be in existence, but the rainbow will be shifting and changing, as in it will be expanding, and you'll be seeing more colors and more of the light and more of the prettiness.
Hello, Marcus Bird, channel of Ameed from the Lyra star system.
Hello, Eleni.
What is most alive in your life right now?
And I think always the Ameed is always alive in my life right now. So this dance between frequency and the Ameed, connection and messages, and I think they're sort of a bit one and the same. But definitely immersing myself in that whole concept of resonant frequencies and that dance with, in a universe sort of teeming with life. I think that's sort of most alive in my life right now.
Okay, so just a follow-on question from that. So you're saying about the frequency of Ameed.
Yeah.
That's something that's really alive for you right now. Who
Yes.
is the high dimensional being that you're going to channel in a second?
Yeah.
Um, and there was a time in your life, even after you began channeling Ahmed, that you actually didn't do it as much. Is that right?
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely didn't do it as much. So if you had to ask me, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, then it wouldn't have been as alive as it is right now. There's no way. There's
And
no way.
and did you constantly have that kind of whisper that's like channel Ahmed, but just too
Yeah.
busy, or
Well, I don't think I was too busy. I think I was too scared.
mm,
Right. And really, it actually wasn't until you sort of came, like we were working together, that you were, so encouraging of it. And it was like, come on, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. And I just sort of gave,
mm,
gave into the persistence of, and I knew I had, I knew that was something I wanted to do anyway. So it's not that you forced or pushed or,
no.
but it was just that beautiful sort of timing and, yeah, and but I did hide certainly publicly. I still channeled from time to time privately and for myself, and still wrote things and did all sorts of stuff, but I never did it publicly,
Mm,
ever.
yeah. From my perspective, I mean, to have that kind of gift where you're actually channeling a high dimensional being, an ET from an advanced planet, so a
Yeah,
physical being,
yeah,
that is such a special gift that you've been given that like you had to share
yeah,
it.
yeah. I know you would think that, wouldn't you? But I hid from it for a long time, I think, and I do it every now and then to select audiences, but very sort of select, and I was very self-conscious about it. And even now I'm still self-conscious about it, but I just made a rule with myself: anywhere, anytime. And so
Mm,
if someone asks, then I just do. And that came out of a podcast I did ages ago with another group for a while back, and we were talking about channeling, and they said, "Can you do it right now?" And I went, having no idea that that's what they wanted me to do. And they went, "Okay." And then after that, knowing that I could just go, at the drop of a hat, I went, right, why don't you do that at a drop of a hat if someone asks? And it's not
mm,
necessarily if a general public came along and asked, but if I'm in podcasts or in someone says, "Oh, we'd love you to come on our show or come and do it here or do it here," or then I say, "Yes, of course."
wonderful. And then
Yeah.
we're all given the gift of listening to the galactic guidance, to the wisdom. So how about
Yeah.
we do it now, Marcus?
Anywhere, anytime right now is good. It's a great time to do it. So, yeah, let's do that. So, yeah, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's just drop into the space and
Mm.
just let go of everything else.
So if you're listening to this episode, Marcus is our regular channel who channels Ahmed, who is a physical female being from an advanced planet. And if you want to hear the full story about how this happened for Marcus, who had no belief system that was aligned to channeling, you need to go back to episode 1 of this series and you will hear the whole story.
Ah. This much of the joyness that we are being here in this of the sacredness of the moment, Miss Eleni, we are much of the joyness to be sharing of this of the messages. This is much of a sacred moment when you are listening to the energetics of a message. And we are much of the time here to be of the supporting to what you would be calling stepping into your most vibrant, your most alive, your most resonant of the self. And we are thinking this is a very much of the interesting journey that you are gifted when you come into this of the theme park, that you are here to be of the forgetting and here to be of the remembering. And it is within of the remembering that you activate more of the expansive quality of the energetic self. This contraction and of the expansion is helping of the whole universe to be in of the expansion. So your of the mission is much of the importance. We are seeing many of the times that you are thinking that you are not of the significant nature, but we are here to be of the reminding that you are very much here of the significant nature.
Thank you, Ameed. It's interesting you talk about, jumping into higher timelines, because that is what I'm focused on doing. And I'm also very aware of fears as they arise. And is it even possible to eliminate these fears? I mean, can we still go on the higher timeline and to have the fears at the same time? Because when you're currently, I'm really observing everything that's going on for me, and so I know the fears intimately because I observe them and I watch them, and no matter what I say to myself, there are fears still there. So yeah, just to repeat that question, is it possible to step into a higher timeline and still take with us the fears?
This is one of the much of the restrictive patterns that are being of the existing within this of the theme park, and these are remnants of lineages of the pastness, where fear was much of the importance to be in of the assisting of the aliveness through of the time and of the space. But now, as you enter into the evolutionary state, the expansive state, once of the againness, it is important that you be of the understanding of the truthness of the what you are calling of the fear space. These are just resonant frequency patterns that are echoing from of the past and from of the dimensional aspects of the devolutionary state. You would be saying that devolution is ignited by of the fear space, and you have had this of the embedding in of the fear space for many of the thousands of your solar of the cycles. So these are deeply of the embeddedness within of your psyche, within of the energetic framework of your existence. When you are when you are connecting with the resonant frequency state of the reality scape, then you can be of the letting go of the visual or the emotional aspect of the fear space. You would see now you have been of attaching many of the current of the realities within of the fear echo space. When you are connecting into the frequency space and not into the particulars of the fearness, then you can be monitoring, you can be switching, you can be retuning your resonant frequency state. As you are stepping into of the expansion, as you are stepping into the next of the timelines, what you will be experiencing is this what you are calling of the fear state is of the dissipation. which means that the volume of the fear space will be much more of the lowerness. And as you continue to expand, you will continue to lower of the resonant frequency state of the fear. Because what you are really looking at, and if you were to just be of the letting go of this word that you're calling of the fear, and just look at of the disharmonic resonant patterns, you would be seeing that the fear is very much of the disharmonic resonant patterns. As you are being of the expanding into the next of the timelines, into the next dimensional reality, what you will be seeing is that as you move through time and of the space, each of the dimensions has a more harmonic nature of the reality scape. Therefore, there are less what you might be thinking of disharmonic resonant frequency states. So as you step into this next of the dimensions, this next of the timeline, you will still be sensing, you will still be of the feeling, there will still be echo remnants of the fear space, of the disharmonic resonant space, but these will have a lower of what you might be calling of the amplitude. And as you move through frequency states, there'll be less and less of these what you'd be calling of these fear states. But what you must be also understanding is that you will enter into new realities and new states of frequencies. Because the truth of the universal reality scape is that there are disharmonic and there are harmonic resonant fields that exist. And these harmonic or disharmonic resonant fields are existing in many of the dimensional realities that you will be of the journeying into. These harmonic and disharmonic resonant states are holding what you might be thinking of as the balance of universal construct. But you will be sensing them in much of the different of the ways. This is like if you are thinking of the rainbow, you have a number of the colors in of the rainbow, 7 of the colors in of the rainbow. But as you expand into the next of the dimensions of reality, the next timelines, you will be seeing more of the colors. And then you will be seeing more of the colors, and then the colors will all be shifting and of the changing. So it's not as if the rainbow will not be in existence, but the rainbow will be shifting and changing, as in it will be expanding, and you'll be seeing more colors and more of the light and more of the prettiness. But in the same moment, you will also experience different of the disharmonic resonant frequency states. But as you expand, you will have much more control over these states. You will have much more what you're calling of mastership over these states. So therefore, it will feel like these states are no longer being in of existence, rather than them not actually being in of existence in and of itself. You will just be much more in of the controlness of these states, and you will be interacting in a much more different way within of these states. And you might be thinking this a much more expanded, enlightened, wisdom-filled way you will be experiencing these realities. So to be of the answering of your question, as you move into the next of the timeline, these disharmonic resonant frequency states will, to some level, be of the existence. They will shift and they will changing, but they will still be in of existence. But what will be happening as you are in of the expanding, you will broaden your consciousness. Therefore, you will broaden your ability to be in of the creation cycle, and you'll be much more of the stronger to not be as what you might be thinking as of affected by these what you're calling of the fear state. In this of the moment, you are very much in of the controlled by of the fear state. This is a collective experience based on the devolutionary state of your species. But this is the shifting, this is switching. You are returning back into an evolutionary state where you will be feeling that I am thinking I'm having more control over these now, Ameed. And this is what you will be experiencing. You will be stepping more into of the master creator status. Therefore, these vibrations, these resonant frequency fields, these disharmonic resonant frequencies fields will still be in of the existence, but you will be in a more expanded consciousness state where you can be what you are thinking, be more in of the controlness, be more in of the ability to shift from disharmonic to harmonic resonant states. This is what is now in of the unfolding.
Okay, thank you for that. And at the moment, what would you say is our biggest block from moving forward?
This You're of the what you're calling of the biggest block is your ability to be fully of the awareness of your expansive consciousness state. Again, when you have been in of the restrictive nature, you are not of the awareness of just how expansive you are. Now, you will be thinking this is of the experience of that you might be thinking of stepping into what you are calling of your fullness of the potential, but this is a consciousness reality state in that as you begin to embrace what we might be calling of the full bodiness of the consciousness, you will then becoming more of the understanding, more of the wisdom, more of the knowingness. This is one of the biggest, what you are thinking of as problems, as you are saying, is that you are not fully of the awareness of the expansive nature of your consciousness. You're not fully aware of the power that exists within of the consciousness state. And this is one of the aspects that you are beginning to be of the embracing. And as you expand, you move into more of that consciousness and that understanding of the fullness of the body of the consciousness. Because this is where of the mastership it does of the existing. This is where the whole of the universe is of the existing. Consciousness is of the mostness of the importance in your expansion ability. When you are fully embraced in of this consciousness, you will be tuning in, receiving in. You will be much more in of the controlness of all of the aspects of the reality scape. So therefore, if there was one of the importance, it would be to be in of the awareness of full body consciousness. The second would be to continue to be in of the remembering. We are finding that you are very much of the forgetfulness of who you are, who you are, who you truly are. You are always of the forgetfulness, and would like to be keeping of the reminding. But if you are looking for of the most important aspect, then we would be suggesting that you will be following of the consciousness thread and be of the fullness of the understanding of what we would be calling of the full body consciousness. And we have been speaking with your channel about consciousness technology to be of the assisting and helping him to be following that of the thread. But this is really not of a consciousness technology per se, but rather the full bodiness of the consciousness. So you have the full spherical reality of what consciousness is of the meaning, but this would be much of the importance.
Okay, Ami, do you have any final brief words for our listeners?
Mm. We would be wishing for you to be of the hearing that you are doing an amazing of the jobness. You are doing much of the beautifulness, and regardless of where you are thinking you are in of the life of the cycle, you are doing much of the amazingness. We are very much of the proudness and of the joyness and of the loveness for what you are being here in this of the moment. And you must be of the remembering that when we were standing on the other side of the veil, that when we were suggesting that this would be an interesting of the mission to be journeying into, you were very quick to be putting up of your hand. And you would have been noticing that we did not put up above our hand. And so we are thinking you are very brave. And we are honoring this journey that you have been deciding to be participating of the within. And in that of the moment, we said, we will be here to be of the supporting nature. We will be here to be of the mentoring nature. We'll be here to be of the love nature to help you to be of the remembering. And you are being diving into this of the lightness of the cycle, and you are much of the excitement. But we are also of the understanding that in this moment, you are not thinking so much of the excitement. But we would be here to be of the remembering that you are doing much of the amazingness, that you are of the love. You are of the lovable. You are of the worthy. And we will be of the encouragement for you to be stepping into this of the space, to be stepping into of the remembering, to remembering what it was that brought you into the here-ness, but what it was of the excitement before you are coming into the here-ness, and be in and of that of the remembering, because you are doing much of the goodness. And we are sending much of the love and much of the support and much of the joy.
Oh, that's beautiful, Ameed. Thank you so much for your support, which has been incredible, and your guidance. Sending you so much love.
Much of the love, much of the joy. Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How did that feel
That's
for
good.
you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah, it felt, yeah, not overly heavy or,
Yeah.
overly sort of whatever today. It felt kind of gentle and nice. So that was
Hmm.
good. That
Yeah.
was
So
good.
some days you get it's
Ah,
interesting, some
yeah,
days when it really when it's a message that's really directed to the heart,
yeah, yeah,
you get very emotional because you can feel
yeah.
it where it's
I
coming
can
from.
feel it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can really feel when the message is deep,
Mm, mm.
and yeah, it's kind of interesting coming out of that because I don't get the detail, I just get the feeling. So it's like, okay, something
Yeah.
was big or something happened that was cool. So, but that's kind of nice too because I just bathe in that as opposed to think it through or, be cognitively trying to get it. I just tend to feel into it, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Do you get lightheaded? Do you feel
No,
like you need to
not
eat to
generally.
ground or no?
Not necessarily. No, no, it doesn't tend to make me dizzy or lightheaded or any of that sort of stuff. No, never sort of had that issue. Yeah, I mean,
Good.
the dropping in and replace, the moving out is always sort of a bit interesting. Yeah, just getting out of the road when she drops in and then, coming back into the body. There's this sort of, it's almost like, that's the saying, strangers in the night, where you just sort of
Mm,
pass each other and,
yeah.
and yeah, it's kind of interesting, and for one moment there's almost a oneness that plays out. Like there's a like just minuscule moment where there is no sort of separation, and then it just separates. So that's
Mm,
kind of interesting. I actually haven't spoken about that before because this whole thing that we often say about oneness. We're all one. We're all connected. We're all one. I think I get a totally different understanding of that through this. That
mm,
it's not just we're one separate, I'm a one and you're a one and we're all one, but just to get a real feel of that in that moment of shift where we actually are just one, we're just one
mm.
energy, I don't know, one consciousness, one.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a weird
Yeah.
experience. So
And when you're not channeling, do you feel her presence around you?
I can, or I can ask for it, or yeah, if I bring my awareness to it, yeah. But
Okay.
she's not necessarily there 24/7 per se.
Okay.
um, because the reality is they go off and do their thing, right? So sometimes I'll notice her there and there'll be a message or something to share. Sometimes I'll call her in and just say, "Hey, I need help with this. What do I do?" Or, so I'll call her in. But
And then
she's
how
she's
do
not
you
there all the
record
time.
that? How do you
Um,
record that information that she gives you when you're not
well,
like
it just depends. I mean, if she drops in to give me some information, I'll write it down. So I've got
okay.
notes. I've got pages of notes. Oh my God.
Mm, mm.
In my iPad and all over the place. And if I need help, it's a very specific question. What do I do about this situation or that? She'll give me information. Of course, I just remember it. So,
Mm.
yeah, because when we talk together, we sit opposite each other.
Okay.
So it's not like this. So it's really different to this. So here, I give her permission just to take over type of thing, right?
Okay.
But when I talk to her, like I'll go into a pyramid, I'll meditate. So when it's a bit more formal, like in the mornings, I'll go into a pyramid and then she comes in and we sit opposite each other and we chat. Sometimes we walk together. So sometimes in the pyramid, she gets me to walk and we walk around this big pyramid together and chat. So it's very different when I'm talking to her personally because she's sitting opposite me or standing opposite me and I'm having a conversation with a being. Whereas
Mm.
here I get out of the road and therefore, so obviously when she's talking to me, I know everything. I'm totally aware. I'm writing stuff down or
Mm.
whatever I'm doing. Whereas here, I get out the road, so I'm not really aware of what's going on.
Mm. I love it.
So yeah,
You're
and that's
when
actually how I
you
started channeling with other people. Is that I would imagine she was standing next to me and I translated. That was one way I
yeah.
used to do it. And then when I started doing it this time around, it was like, well, that's slow and clunky, and I get in the road. Do you know what I mean? So the message
Mm.
sort of comes through a bit
Mhm.
can be a bit messy and long-winded. So we just came up with an agreement that I'd just get out the road and she could just bring it straight through. So
Easy. You can
yeah,
relax.
correct.
Wonderful. Do you feel so fortunate, Marcus, that you've got this ability to
I
speak
don't
to it?
know. So I do sometimes, and then other times I think, this is, sort of, it becomes, sometimes it's a little bit of a heavy weight, and other times it's, joyful and amazing. So it just really depends where I'm at and what I'm feeling.
Like
Um,
everything, right? Everything has
it's got its pros and cons
everything.
type of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah. And I know a lot of people, often speak to me and say, oh, I really want to do it. Teach me how to do it or show me how to do it. And it's like, you sure? Like, really? Like, you know, once it happens, there's a responsibility type of thing, and who knows where it will take you. So, but yeah, it just, there are moments. But overall, I'm happy. I'm so excited about it and grateful for
Thank you,
sure.
Marcus. Thank you for
Yeah,
bringing
thank
all
you.
the messages and
No worries.
providing all
Thanks
the
for helping.
guidance.
Yay.
And so grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for supporting and helping make this happen. So appreciate it. Lots of love to you. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Galactic Guidance. We hope that the messages that you receive from the higher realms have brought you clarity, insight, and comfort. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Remember to stay connected to your own inner guidance and trust the journey ahead.